Equally, I don't care for his first scene with our new Q. I appreciate the whole warship thing being on theme.
Always makes me feel a little melancholy. A grand old warship being ignominiously hauled away for scrap. The inevitability of time, don't you think?
But why are we in an art museum?
They could have just met in an office.
MI6 didn't prioritize giving office space to Q Branch? We're in public, but let me hand you this gun. Don't worry, won't freak out any bystanders in the museum. It's just Sam Mendes trying to be smarty pants. I don't want to have a scene where we go into an underground branch of Q Branch. I want to do something fun with like the painting and all that in the art museum. But this is Q Branch we're talking about. It's like he hasn't set up shop yet. So go meet him in public to get a gun and your supplies. Old school Q used to have offices everywhere, which was always fun. He would have clicked a button on a remote that would have opened up one of those paintings, allowing him and Bond to step inside of a secret Q Branch hidden in this art museum. But I guess old school stuff like that is too fun for the modern era.
We don't really go in for that anymore.
Obviously, I love their banter back and forth, and it's on theme about young versus old.
Age is no guarantee of efficiency.
And youth is no guarantee of innovation.
And digital versus practical.
So why do you need me?
Every now and then a trigger has to be pulled.
Or not pulled. It's hard to know which in your pajamas.
But f*** you, new Q, you obnoxious asshat. You make a pass at GoldenEye, you little f***ing twerp.
Were you expecting an exploding pen? We don't really go in for that anymore.
Why wouldn't you make an exploding pen? I can think of a million instances in this movie alone where an exploding pen might be useful to Bond, and yet it's like, we don't go in for that anymore. Oh, gadgets are stupid. You're Q! You are Q, and you're talking shit about gadgets.
Were you expecting an exploding pen?
That's what I mean, where it's like, Bond fans should be like, what the f***, dude? What the f***? What the f*** is going on?
Jesus Christ. Again, doesn't bother me. Doesn't bother me.
Talking shit about
Same.
gadgets, which is like a Bond staple, is just like nothing.
Not every Bond movie has to have gadgets.
Nance, true. They don't need to have gadgets, but there's a difference between no gadgets, which is fine. We've been over that a million times. There's a difference between that and talking shit about gadgets, especially Q talking shit about gadgets is ridiculous.
At least here there are no old ladies giving orders and no little gadgets from those fools in Q Branch.
I see your point. Like, I get it. But I think it's just like, it's another one of those things where I feel like it goes back to the Craig era is kind of wonky. I think really they were trying to get away from the overly heavy gadgets. Like, I think they were trying to play within a certain realm, right? Because they were like, we did the overly heavy gadget thing with Die Another Day and it flopped. So let's not do that.
But it wasn't the gadget's fault.
We've talked about this before. You know how producers think. They see one thing, they're like, this was the problem of the movie. And you're like, that wasn't the problem. But this was the problem. You're like, that wasn't the problem. Yeah. I really do think that they were trying to at least kind of toe the line between we don't want to dive too hard into the realm of goofy and we want to be kind of more into this real world aspect of it. So I do feel like the gadgets kind of fit the world that they're creating since they started with Casino. So it doesn't bother me that he just gets a radio. And also it reminds me, because again, this is supposed to be the 50th anniversary of Bond. He gets a gun and a radio, but if you go back all the way till then, like go back to Goldfinger, those are kind of the gadgets he gets. He gets a transmitter. He doesn't get anything really cool besides the car, which we also see in this movie. But he gets the transmitter, which I was like I've always liked how that was like, oh yeah, it's like kind of a very simple gadget, but it does the job. So it doesn't bother, that part didn't bother me.
Gadgets should be treated like they are in video games, right? Every Bond video game that any of us played growing up, they give you exactly what you need to complete the mission, right? It's like at some point there's going to be a door that you need to scramble the code or whatever. Mm-hmm. So we'll give you the code breaker thing. What I'm getting at is that they give you what you need to complete it. And all Bond needed was, here's going to be a gun and a radio. And Bond makes a joke.
Not exactly Christmas, is it?
But the point being that Q then shits on gadgets. And it's like, why? All Bond needs for this particular mission is a gun and a radio.
Latest thing from Q Branch. It's called a radio.
We don't really go in for exploding pens anymore. Well, if you have one laying around, I'll take that too, because I'll find a use for it.
In this movie particularly, which is a very odd thing, but Q isn't a quartermaster in this movie. He gives them gadgets, right? But like, typically Q is not a specialist in computers. Q is a quartermaster, somebody who keeps all the gear and makes sure it's ready for use, and then divvies out the gear as needed. But like this movie, he's a computer hacker. He's like a man in the chair. Like they've shifted the role of this character in this particular movie. He's more involved, but they shifted what that character normally is.
If you're gonna call him quartermaster, make him the quartermaster.
Have him master some corners.
But in my rewrite, the whole thing is he's not the quartermaster. He's like, I'm the head of the new digital division or whatever, and that directly conflicts with Bond. Again, their dialogue is perfect. Sometimes you need a trigger to be pulled, and sometimes not be pulled. And that's the thing where it's like an ideal story would be maybe start off with like the digital age is taken over, and then it flips to like, no, we need Bond. And then at the end they reconcile. We need both. We need both. Because that reflects reality, which is that like anybody, all these people out there who think that disarming the population or whatever, what it comes down to is people are like, what? You think you could fight the US government? You think you could fight the military? They would just drone your ass. And the fundamental misunderstanding is that it doesn't just come down to drones. Yes, drones can come along and they can just, destroy everybody around you, including yourself. But inevitably, you need boots on the ground. Look to Vietnam, look to Afghanistan. People just go underground. They find ways of hiding from our high-tech weapons. It's not enough to just carpet bomb an entire area. You eventually need somebody to go in. So that's the whole idea. And that's where Bond and Q would reconcile. But instead, what we get is what we got.
You need a scalpel.
Please return the equipment in one piece.
What equipment? The whole joke here was that it was just a gun and an emergency distress beacon. Those are two very expendable things. The whole scene doesn't deconstruct Q stuff. It just makes fun of it while doing the same shit as always.
Do please try and return some of this equipment in pristine order.
We don't really go in for that anymore. Return the equipment in one piece.
They're trying to be smart and modern, but they're just shitting on Bond. Either do gadgets or don't do gadgets, but shitting on them isn't funny. It's lame and obnoxious and contradictory to what they're doing.
I was fine with it. I was fine with it. I was fine.
What the fuck again?